inform your thinking about potentially trading Humphrey?
I think any trade that's ever been made is a data point to give you a guideline on if you were to make a trade, what the compensation would be. So I mean, that's how I best answer that. You understand what the value is if you were to make a trade, and you use that with a bunch of other comps and your analytics and your admin to think about if that's something you wanted to do. All right, this is what it would look like.
Are there
More or less than you do.
Come on, man.
Well, what about this from a player evaluation standpoint with regards to that one? What did you learn lessons from that?
With Trey?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get too much into specifics with Trey. I think the world of Trey. I think as a person and as a player, there's a lot of different things that went into really with him or anybody that go into your success. You know, the level of success you have, besides your talent level and your character and all that. And there's different factors that go into that. So did learn a lot from that, but probably something that I'd rather keep to myself and keep it right up here.
Are there certain must-have traits that you look for in quarterbacks?
Yeah. You want to know those?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's a ton. You know, it's kind of like when you're looking for a head coach, where you have so many different traits, and a lot of them blend into each other. And so, but you're looking for the face of your franchise, one, and how they do that. It doesn't need to be a big rah-rah guy. It doesn't need to be a big vocal guy, but lead by example. But just be a leader and carry yourself the right way. Obviously, all the talent you want, especially now. If you have a mobile quarterback, that certainly helps, but you have to be able to play the position first. I think that's first and foremost. You have to be able to play the position before you can, look into all the different things in terms of being mobile.
How much maybe has that changed since you started as a scout with the Pats and Brady playing at such a high level to kind of what quarterbacking is now? Lamar, Mahomes, I mean, all these guys, it's shifted.
Yeah, the game shifted a lot. I think you think college football for a lot of that. When I was starting, I think in New England they just traded Drew Bledsoe, and Drew Bledsoe was the prototype, and then Tom, obviously. And it's evolved a little bit, and there's a place for any type of quarterback, as long like Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback, but he's not a mobile guy. But then Lamar is like a whole different set of problems, and so there's a lot of different ways to play quarterback very effectively. I do think you do have a few more options if you're mobile, but that's certainly not an absolute by any means.
Where are you at with evaluating your own players and the free agents and everything like that?
Yeah, with our free agents, we're still working through that, and this is a great week to have talks with agents and talk about our own free agents and really see how that all works together. It's a big puzzle you're putting together, whether it's you're signing your own free agents, evaluating your own players, and then looking at outside free agents as well. So probably come up with a lot of decisions coming out of this week, which will be good prior to free agency, but we're still really in the middle of that process.
Is
And
Cam
how
Burrow
much of an impact players, franchise, or transition do you expect to use this week?
Philosophy, I think it's just a case-by-case basis, I think, but this year, no. I don't think we're going to do that.
Does it matter to you that some of these quarterbacks aren't going to throw?
I think everybody, that's the world we're in right now, where Christian McCaffrey started it, not playing in the bowl game a long time ago, but I think just with any decision you make in life, if you're going to be a top 5 pick, you got to make a cost-benefit analysis, and how is this going to help you versus how could it hurt you? And if you can fall a lot further than go up when you're up there. So every guy makes the decision that's best for them, and I think you have to respect that.
Outside of quarterback, how do you kind of approach this week? Do you target particular positions that you want to kind of talk to guys with, or is it just kind of a blanket canvas for you as you go through kind of player interviews and get to knows and whatnot?
Yeah, I really appreciate the non-quarterback question, first of all, because that's not what we're here for. We're here for everything, but with anything, with every player, you can't really focus. You don't ever know what you're going to do in free agency. You don't know how guys that are already on the team can adapt to your scheme, and a guy who was a backup could be a starter in the new scheme. So you really have to uncover turn over every stone, right, for everything, because you never know when you're sitting there in the 6th round and there's a player that maybe, I didn't look at him because that wasn't a big need, and then that's the highest player on your board. So you have to do all the work, and with scouting, or like a lot of our jobs, I'm sure your jobs are the same way. There's a lot left on the cutting room floor where you're like, oh gosh, I just spent 3 hours watching that guy, and it never came to fruition. But you have to do the work.
Now that you've had some time to look at the whole roster, have there been any surprises? Maybe an area that's better than you thought, and an area that, okay, we actually do need to address that in the non-quarterback division?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I don't want to get too into specifics about our own guys, but there are guys that may have been great fits in the previous schemes that aren't as good, and there's guys that maybe weren't the best fits in the previous scheme that really fit us. So that was really enlightening going through that, because when I started, I'm looking through a 49ers lens and would this player fit for us, but you really have to look through the lens of your own team and your own coach and your own scheme. Luckily for us, DQ's defensive scheme is really multiple, and you can use people in different ways, and same with Cliff's on offense. So you can really get creative, and there's no like set spots, for the most part, which is really cool.
And previously you
Pearl in
said free
particular.
agency wasn't a big priority spending-wise. Is that still the case now that you've looked through everything, or do you need to get some new blood in immediately?
Yeah, I think you really build through the draft. You always build through the draft, but you always have to supplement through free agency. So we're gonna look hard in free agency. We do have some spots to fill. So how we're gonna spend and who we're gonna spend it on, we still have to get through that. But we'll always remain a draft and develop team at our core and supplement through free agency.
Cam Curl in particular, is he a guy you hope to keep?
Yeah, we've had talks with Cam's representatives, and we'll continue to do that. I can just say from playing against him, I think we played against him almost every year. When I was in San Francisco, he was always one of the best players on the defense. The guys we had to watch out for. He had a game plan for him. So a lot of respect for him. I've heard great things about him. I'm sure you guys know him a little bit better than I do in terms of the type of person he is. So we're going to definitely explore that and see if that fits into our overall plans.
You mentioned where you guys are now as a little bit of San Francisco.
Yeah.
How much of the playbook, I guess, from how you guys built that thing transfers?
A lot of it does, in terms of you always remember your mistakes more than your successes. At least I do. Those things stick with you more than the others. So you try not to make the same mistake twice. And so the things that we could have done better in San Francisco, try not to do here, and the things that we did well, a lot of that translates. I know it was 7 years ago, but a lot of the same things remain the same. So just try to lean on those experiences and do the good things well, and don't do the bad things again.
When you look at the Panthers trading up to one last year for a quarterback, how do you balance the trading within the conference and not hindering yourself giving up too much equity versus trying to make your own team better?
In terms, I mean, trades in particular, you always lean on everybody that you have in the building to give you all the best information. You talk to in those things, especially a big trade, you're always going to talk with ownership. You're going to talk with everybody to get make sure you're making the best decision. So all of those things and more come into account when you're making a trade.
If you identify your guy, is there any price that would stop you from giving it?
Yeah, I don't really want to get into all of that in terms of the price, and we're still really early in the process. I'd tell you more if I knew more, but we haven't even met any of these guys yet, so I'll probably just leave it at that for now.
Eugene Shen was somebody who was hired right before you got here. We haven't asked about him much. What's his role going to be? You see for you, and how you help evaluate this team, free agents, draft, etc.
Yeah, we've had a really good dialogue with Eugene, and just getting to learn how he can work with coaching, with personnel, with free agent pricing, all the different things you can do, and more. So he's been really enthusiastic. He's been really good to work with. Enjoy working with him. So a lot of the stuff we're doing, we're flying by the seat of our pants right now, just getting to know each other. But we'll have a great chance as we go through this process to implement some really cool processes and some of our own metrics that we want to do to identify commanders, as well as the in-game stuff and everything else you health and performance. There's so many different avenues you can go down with that. So I'm excited to work with them.
How important is analytics for you just over your career in terms of what you were trying to accomplish?
Yeah, it keeps, it's another, I think when you're talking about just player evaluation, it's a great data point, it's a great cross-checker for you, and the more and more you can really tailor it to what you're looking for in players, it can really, really help you gain edges. And that's what you're always looking at. Everybody's got the same amount of money, same amount of players. You're trying to gain edges in certain ways, and by having a really good analytics team and analytics department, you can really gain an edge that way.
Before meeting with them, what are your overall assessments of this quarterback class?
This quarterback class, I think everybody says it's pretty good, right? So, but yeah, there's a lot of really good quarterbacks. I'll say that, and we're meeting with a lot of them, and we're excited. It's probably, I would say, a good year if you needed a quarterback. Which I'm not saying we need a quarterback, but if you did, I think there's some really good options, and really excited to meet them.
Adam, I know it's been a whirlwind of you all just kind of getting up to speed, coaching staff. Can you describe the culture that you all are trying to build with the Commanders?
Yeah, whirlwind's a great description of what we've been doing. But the culture is just great people who love football, who want to win, who want to have each other's backs, work hard, and just have fun doing it. And we've had that so far, which is really cool, and I think we'll continue to have that. And that's why we brought the people in that we brought in, and a lot of like-minded in that way, a lot of different thoughts, but like-minded in those particular things. That's what really helps build a great culture.
With that whirlwind, how is timing of everything? Where is your timeline on evaluating your own team? If you're going to release guys, you probably got to decide the next couple of weeks. You've been so busy. Have you been able to dive into the kind of roster minutia stuff yet?
Yeah, I think you always got to remind yourself. They say keep the main thing the main thing. So, what's most important right now? What's important now? Win. It's an acronym, right? So figure that out. What's really important right now that I need to get done here for tomorrow, for the next day, and keep prioritizing those things. And that's because there's a lot that comes at you. But if you break it down like that, it makes it a little more manageable.
Obviously, there's a question about, at least from us, how quickly are you guys looking to turn this thing around? Be really aggressive in free agency and try to make the playoffs next year, or understand it could be a bit of a rebuild? Where are you kind of at mentally, and how do you kind of approach having to make those kinds of decisions?
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this, but you want to build it responsibly so it's sustainable. So, spending on a bunch of high-level free agents, that's probably better in the short term, but are you better in the long term? That maybe not. So try to build a plan where you can build the team up and keep it healthy so you can be really good for a really long time and compete for championships year over year.
In general, what's your impression of this year's draft class? Are there certain positions where you feel like there's good depth, others where maybe less so? Or just what's your general impression?
Yeah, I think if you talk to all the draft experts and people and really people in the NFL as well, they say it's a good receiver class, good tackle class. So I don't want to get into what's bad because I don't think it's good to talk about anything negative. But those two are really strengths of this draft. So if we're talking about a couple different positions, I'd say those two.